Anyway, I've just been watching Oprah, and it was actually the episode where she talked to Steve and Chad from YouTube, a little website some of you might be familiar with. And it was interesting, because I personally tend to cringe a little bit when people what's the word I'm looking for? When people evoke this myth of community. That would have made so much more sense had I put the coffee cup down and went, community! Mostly because it's a very syrupy, cute and cuddly idea. And it kind of irritates me because the people who usually bring it out the most are the people that really want to control other people on this website. If they're not getting enough views, in their opinion, they'll go for the jugular and say, look, you're not part of the community, you're not subscribing to enough people, you're not watching enough videos, you're not commenting, you're not rating. And the last time I checked, none of those things were illegal. I think people need to take a deep breath and just have their fun in their way, in their own time, and leave other people the hell alone, okay? There, I'm glad we could have this little chat. But of course they were talking about how YouTube was reportedly sold to Google for I think 1.6 million or something. And I was thinking about this idea of community and why I think it's particularly important to YouTube itself, because you always see those, or at least you used to, I don't think you do see them quite as often anymore, the videos that make the front page because they're all, YouTube has changed my life and YouTube is wonderful and without YouTube I would be dead right now. Last night a YouTube video saved my life. That kind of shit. And we can call it shit because this is my channel and I can do whatever the hell I want to do. But I was thinking about it and I realised that that stuff is really actually very important to the survival of this website. Because YouTube itself doesn't do anything that's particularly special or difficult. And you can bear witness to this simply due to the number of other websites that have video sharing capabilities. I mean, they're all going that way. You've got MySpace, you can do it on Facebook, or the Nings, you can actually upload your videos directly to those sites. So where YouTube derives its most power is sort of being the household brand. Because where Google, I think, really came into popularity was it did one thing really, really, really well and really simply. You'd go to the Google website, you type in what you're looking for and you hit a button. It was so unusual at the time because you'd go to Yahoo or Alta Vista and there'd be like 300 things on the website. But Google thought, you know, this is the search thing, this is what we're here to do, we'll just do that and we'll do that really well. And I think even today the best websites on the internet are the ones that just decide to do one thing and do it really, really well and not bow to the pressure of adding all the extra features. Because you, especially with sites like MySpace and Facebook that started off with very, very interesting and noble objectives, they've sort of they've just converged onto these same sites that, you know, you're at Facebook or you're at MySpace, but for all intents and purposes you could be at either of them. They've become so similar it's kind of ridiculous. So yes, that's why this is why YouTube needs the rhetoric. Because people have got to think video and think YouTube. So then they'll go to YouTube, they won't go to live video, they won't go to Meta Cafe, they won't go to any of those other sites that exist. But I think one of the big problems is that in the push to sort of become that market leader, they've been a little bit lax with things like copyright. And right now we're in this situation where everybody is talking about Viacom as if there's some, the devil in some kind of corporational form. It might be deeply shocking to many of you to realise that Viacom actually doesn't give a shit about your viewing habits. I know, shocking. They're actually not collecting your IP addresses, and they're not concerned that you're a fan of Isabella Brave. They don't really give a shit that you're watching Smosh videos. They're not going to come out in 15 years and blackmail you for that. They really don't care. What their concern is just establishing whether YouTube... I mean, obviously there is a lot of copyright issues on this website. That is a foregone conclusion. What they're trying to establish right now is how bad that is. And probably ultimately how much YouTube and Google will have to compensate Viacom for infringements. So, I mean, in one way it's kind of nice that YouTube want to play off this myth that Viacom are just trying to try to trample on you. I hang around with so many conspiracy theorists, and everybody sort of has this opinion that somebody's out to get them, that they're always being downtrodden. The truth is, Viacom don't give a shit. What they're really trying to establish is how prevalent copyright infringement is, whether YouTube is really towards user-generated material, whether it's been a tad too permissive in allowing this other content to come on here. And I have to tell you, personally, I think copyright is one of the most magical things in the world. And it actually wasn't invented to spite you, to ruin your fun. It was invented to protect people that put their time and energy and expertise into creative and intellectual pursuits. They deserve to be compensated for their work. They deserve to have the right to decide what they're going to do with their work. And I can see that a lot of people, lots of people hate copyright. They hate the concept of copyright. But I personally don't get it, because I think if you were in those people's shoes, you'd actually want to get paid for what you're doing. And I know 100 people are going to come up to me and say, "Oh John, but I just make videos for the fun of it, or I do it for the community, or I do it just because I can." And the truth is, just because you don't want to make money in this way, just because you're doing it for fun, doesn't mean everybody's doing it for fun. And the people whose professional lives depend on these kinds of things, if people are going to screw them over so badly, they're going to stop making things. That's kind of where the buck stops. You might actually reach this position where there's actually no software to pirate. There's no MP3s to illegally download. Because people just... It's not fair. And I am so sick and tired of everyone coming up to me and saying, "Oh, you can go watch this video illegally on this site, or you can download this illegally here." That's so unfair. You're screwing people. You're screwing people that have made things that are important enough for you to want to use. And, we have all these myths that we use to justify these kinds of behaviours, that, poor Mariah Carey, poor P. Diddy, it's only down to 30 million in this year, but it's really not the point. And especially with the larger acts, there's a whole organisation that is depending on these sources of income. It's not just one person or one band, or there's a whole organism of professional people working this capacity to bring you what that band or artist does. So you know what? I'm not going to sit here and whine and go, oh, poor me, Viacom is picking on me, because I think they actually have a fairly legitimate you know, they deserve this opportunity to actually gauge to what extent the intellectual property they're representing has been misused and misrepresented. And I think that's what it boils down to. Obviously there's going to have to be some kind of compensation in the long run. I think that's fairly evident, and I don't know, I just get really irritated that whenever somebody feels slightly inconvenienced by anything, they go, oh, let's invoke the power of the community, let's put out a petition, without actually stopping to consider if, you know, if the information they're getting is correct, if it's fair. And I have to tell you, I mean, as somebody who makes videos, it pisses me off, to be honest, knowing that I'll put time and energy into something, and then I'll have to compete with, you know, illegal cartoons, illegal movie clips, and all this stuff on this website. You know, it's one of the things I love about sort of live video, is you don't get all that stuff. You know, it's completely subjective as whether the content is better or worse over there, but you get the user-generated content full stop. I've never really come across anything but that kind of content. And I think YouTube has a responsibility not only to intellectual property owners around the world, to the law itself, but also to the users on this website who are doing the right thing, who are generating their own content, to really take the time to put them center stage and promote that material. Because that is the nucleus of what will make this website ultimately wonderful and great, assuming Viacom doesn't own it in a couple of years as a result of some kind of court settlement. But let's just wait and see, and that's been my rant. I hope you've enjoyed it. Or maybe, to be honest, I don't care if you enjoyed it or not. I hope it's been educational. I hope it's given you a moment to stop and pause and think. If I've done that much, I'm happy. Thanks for watching.